The first book I finished on my TBR was Darker Still by Leanna Renee Hieber. The genre of this novel is paranormal romance. I believe it's YA, but I'm not sure. It's less than 200 pages long. It follows the story of one Miss Natalie Stewart. Natalie Stewart is a 17-year-old mute girl. She wasn't born mute. She went mute after her mother's death when she was 4 years old. So at one point Natalie was sent to a school for deaf, mute, and blind girls. The story begins with a police report by another character who then gives the journal to the reader as the narrative of these events that transpire. And then the story ends with the police report. The majority of the story takes place over 19 days within Natalie's journal, which begins with her arrival home from the school she attended. Natalie has a crush on a man named Edgar, who she secretly wishes would ask her to marry him. Until he says something quite offensive, forgetting that Natalie is mute and not deaf. At which point, Natalie becomes very upset, and to make amends, her father asks her what she wants to do with her life, and she decides she wants to go into museum acquisitions because while Edgar was a complete jerk to her, he was talking about a very beautiful, unique painting. So Natalie's father, pleased that she has something she wants to do with her life, agrees to get her an apprenticeship at the museum. Mr. Stewart hopes to engage Mrs. North in buying the painting for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And so Natalie meets Mrs. North and Mrs. North's niece, Maggie, and they take Natalie to see the painting of Lord Denbury. And upon seeing the painting, Natalie falls instantly and irrevocably in love with the painting. And then things take their paranormal twist. Natalie is left in the room alone with the painting of Lord Denbury when Lord Denbury walks into the room. The story reminded me a lot of The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. It had that same sort of gothic feel to it that that particular story had, and there was that sense that everyone knew that something was off, but nobody knew what it was, the way they did in The Picture of Dorian Gray, where everyone knew that Dorian had done something to himself to make himself never age, but nobody knew what it was. And while this was a contemporary piece, it did have this feel of a piece written in like the 1800s. Like I said in my Anna Dressed in Blood review and my TBR, I am a sucker for ghost stories. I love them. It's really hard for them to be bad. This one was really well written and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And that's all for this review. Until next time, TTYL.
The invasion is complete.